The contents of the following program are not intended to substitute for the advice of your healthcare provider, and the producers of this series assume no liability for the use or misuse of the material presented. Creation or evolution, design or random chance. They say it all began with a big bang. But when we look at the amazing human body, the answer is obvious. The complexity of the design exceeds anything man has ever made. The body could only have been designed by the master designer we read about in the Bible. Divine design. Welcome to another episode of Divine Design. In our previous episodes, we took a close look at the miracle of childbirth, and yet still have not plumbed the depths of God's marvelous design in the development of the human baby. We have seen that only an all-wise Creator could have made these things happen, for it would be simply impossible for evolutionary processes. We have seen the importance and value of prenatal care and steps to improve pregnancy and birth outcomes. We have learned the mechanics of labor and delivery. We also examined many of the benefits of breastfeeding and even warned about some of the mystical New Age practices in childbirth that should be avoided. Heartland College has embraced the challenge of educating young ladies in the field of childbirth and to practice midwifery, according to the counsel given us in the spirit of prophecy. In Medical Ministry, page 61, we read, "Our institutions should be especially thorough in giving to women a training that will fit them to act as midwives. Our goal is to train our young ladies God's way, so that they may be used of the Lord as missionaries in this exciting and challenging field." Join us in this final episode as Patti Barnes speaks with Debbie Biehl, OB/GYN in residency, about this high calling.
Romans 12 says, "I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that ye present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service." Jesus said, "When you've done it to the least of my brethren, you've done it to me." I have a special guest with me here today that especially agrees with this. Her name is Dr. Debbie Biehl, and she is a resident OB/GYN physician practicing in Reading, Pennsylvania.
That's right.
And you also have some training at Loma Linda. Tell us about that.
So I graduated last year from Loma Linda Medical School. It was a privilege to be there.
Okay. And what's your background?
So I went through nursing school at Southern Adventist University and really appreciate that rich background the nursing gives me in the medical field.
Okay, very good. So what do you see your goals and your future career?
So as an OB/GYN, my passion really is helping people make lifestyle changes during pregnancy and continuing on to have those changes after they give birth, to raise that child up really to be healthy and to know God. And so my passion is both lifestyle change during pregnancy and helping people find power in that through God.
Yes. So do you have like a systematic step approach or study guide, or how would you go by?
To help people make lifestyle changes and really find God's power to make those changes in their life. Some things that have really been helpful for me in doing that is first developing a relationship with the patients.
Yes.
Finding out where they're at in their walk with God, where they are at in their healthy lifestyle choices, and then really relying on the Holy Spirit to guide in conversation and helping them find strength in their family and their support systems, and most of all through God to make those changes.
Without Him, it's impossible.
That's right.
So that's the best approach, isn't it?
That's right.
How would you say that I know you're a sincere Seventh-day Adventist Christian, and how would you say your faith will impact your future career?
So for me, I believe Jesus is coming really soon, and I believe that this is actually part of the end time message that we have to give to people, to turn the hearts of fathers to their children and children to their fathers. And I think that prenatal care, helping people have healthy lifestyle at that critical time when many people are open to change, is really integral in that. And just a couple things that I found, because people often know what they need to do, but they find it so difficult to actually make those changes. I don't know if you've seen that in your experience. People that need to stop smoking, but often people find that when they're pregnant that they have strength to do that sort of change. People that need to make changes in their diet for the health of their baby. And I found that over and over that people need strength from outside themselves. They need a more powerful motivator than often they find in their own lives. And for me, the most powerful motivator I've seen over and over and over in my patients' lives is, instead of being motivated by fear, being motivated by love. And love for that child, love for the child that they're developing inside them, love for their child once they give birth. I had a lady that came into my office, I'll call her Jill for this illustration, and we had prayed together at the prior visit, and she came in the next time and said, you know, out of love for my child and out of love for God, because of the strength we had in prayer, I stopped smoking. So I find that when we find that love for others, it gives people power for change.
Motivation. Just what you need.
That's right.
Amen.
But I believe there's a more powerful motivator than even love for your child in making change. I believe that love for God, because of you knowing God's love for you, is actually an even more powerful motivator.
And they need to know that.
They need to know that. And they know that by the way we care for them. And by, most of all, by beholding God's love. You know, you see that a God that gave up heaven for us. He gave up the society of holy angels, his Father's presence, and he came to a world that rejected him, didn't appreciate what he did, and took the death of a criminal, basically. And that's self-sacrificing love, that by beholding, we have that love developed in us. And that's the sort of love that gives us power to be able to stop smoking when we're pregnant, to continue that change on after we deliver the baby, to make change in our diet. And by knowing that love personally in relationship with God daily, it gives us strength to make that change.
Yes, he does. Could you expound on that a little bit about turning the hearts of the fathers to the children?
Yeah, Patty, it's really interesting. In Malachi 4, 5, and 6, it says, "Behold, I will send you Elijah the prophet before the coming of the great and the dreadful day of the Lord. And he shall turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to the fathers." And I think it's really fascinating, because Elijah was the forerunner of Christ. And we see the work of John the Baptist. He was doing that same work of preparing the way. And that's what we're called to do now, to prepare the way for Christ to come the second time. And we see the integral in this is the work of turning, initially it says the hearts of the fathers to the children, and then it says the hearts of the children to the fathers. I think the reason it puts the fathers first is that they have a responsibility to God to turn the hearts of their children. And one of the ways they can do that is by the influence that they have prenatally. Okay? And I think that's really critical, because it affects children. It affects them mentally, spiritually, physically. What happens during pregnancy? It has long-term effects on all those areas. And I think it's really critical. And that's what makes me really excited about the work of OBGYN, midwifery, Christian physicians, in helping the family unit to be restored to what God has called it to be, and to help ultimately prepare the family for Jesus to come.
That is our goal. That is our goal. You know, what's interesting, Debbie, is that we almost had our brother here. He's a pediatric resident at Loma Linda University, and his schedule got changed the last minute. But fortunately, we have Debbie with us. But I was interested, you know, both of you went into, he went to pediatrics, you went in OB. What were your thoughts, though? What drew you this way?
So we both have a similar passion for sharing Jesus through the practice of medicine, because Christ we see on earth, he did a combination of preaching, teaching, and healing. And that's what he calls his followers to do. So we have a special interest in the early years of life when people are impressionable for God's kingdom, when they can develop habits of health for life and come to a close relationship with God. I think that OBGYN transitioning into pediatrics is a perfect combination for that.
So do you have goals, maybe working together?
Absolutely.
I think that would be perfect. You know, we're fortunate here, we were able to start a midwifery program. And we're praying, hopefully in the future, to have a birthing center here. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Yeah.
Where the spirit of prophecy, and it's Bible-based, what outreach we could have.
Absolutely.
To childbirth and evangelism. And I'm hoping, you know, Lord willing, we'll have a professional team here, like yourself and your brother. And what are your thoughts on this?
I think it's exciting to see what the Lord can do through the influence of Christian midwives, Christian healthcare providers. And I'm excited to see what God's going to do.
What a strong force it would be for the Lord's work.
You know, all that we've been talking about, Patty, it just reminds me of a verse in 1 John 4. It says, "Beloved, let us love one another, for love is of God, and everyone that loveth is born of God and knows God." And then over in chapter 5, verse 4, "For whosoever is born of God overcometh the world. And this is the victory that overcometh the world, even our faith." And it just reminds me, everything we've been talking about, how as Christian physicians and midwives, we can reveal God's love, how that love can become a powerful motivator for change in the life of our patients, how they can have that victory through faith, through denying themselves, through doing what's right for their baby, so they can have a closer relationship with God, so that child can have that experience. I'm really excited what the Lord's going to do.
Yes, I am too. I just can't wait to see what doors he's going to open next.
Absolutely. I just had a quote I thought was really cool to share. It says, "The mother who is a fit teacher for her children must before their birth form habits of self-denial and self-control. For she transmits to them her own qualities, her own strong or weak traits of character. The enemy of souls understands this matter much better than do many parents. He will bring temptation upon the mother, knowing that if she does not resist him, he can through her affect her child. The mother's only hope is in God. She may flee to him for grace and strength. She will not seek help in vain. He will enable her to transmit to her offspring qualities that will help them to gain success in this life and to win eternal life." It's Mind, Character, and Personality, Volume 1, page 134.
That is a wonderful quote.
And I think it just reminds me of the power that as Christian midwives and physicians that we can have to help our mothers find that hope in God and that power for change and to bring eternal life to their children. Both.
What a responsibility.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, we have been blessed so much with our visitor here today, and I hope you have as well. I just ask for your prayers for our future. I know God hasn't brought us this far to leave us, and I believe He's going to finish a good work. So I'm asking, please pray as we continue our building project for our future birthing center. And I really thank you for being here today.